All right, we are recording for Chapter 13 of Final Frontier, which I'm largely neutral on. Like, it starts with something I'm neutral on. It middle portion, I don't like. The end has potential. We'll see, but it is suggesting potentials. So to start that, I'm neutral on. Actually, I do kind of like it, but for what is actually written in here, I'm just neutral. Scotty wakes up in sickbay, and Sahura are there. And they have their little discussion there, and I am so glad that there's no suggestion here. In fact, it seems almost the opposite. Uhura laughed softly. It was pleasant. It was a pleasant, gentle sound, but it made Scott's flesh crawl. There was no suggestion at all of a romantic relationship or potential relationship between these two, which I felt always seemed odd in the movie. It does appear it is restricted just to the movie. So I'm happy about that it is not in here as well. There's a little bit suggesting there was a little suggestion from Uhura, but she's already had Cybok in her head, so I'm very comfortable saying, nah, that's not real. But then we do get that Cybok comes to sickbay before Scotty can leave. And in the movie, it always seemed like Scotty never was touched by Cybok. No, he is touched, and this is the thing that I really dislike for multiple reasons. First is one incredibly technical, but it's one of those things where, yeah, I know it's technical, but it's also like kind of basic and kind of simple and easy, so you got it wrong. You got it wrong. I have to call you out on it. So this is Cybok touching his mind, so now they're going back into a memory of his, and what is Scotty's secret pain gonna be? It's not hard to guess. It was, Scott realized with a resurgence of fear, the room, sickbay, on the old ship, as it had looked roughly a year ago, not correct, when Dr. McCoy had worked grimly to save the life of a 14-year-old cadet trainee, which would be Scotty's nephew, Peter Preston. I have been paying attention to the timelines stated in the novelizations, because it is interesting, I feel, to notice that stuff, and is also it's low-hanging fruit, technically, as well. Is low-hanging fruit in that it is an easy spot to find an error, but it's also low-hanging fruit in that it's an easy thing to not make an error with, and that is a significant error. Excuse me. So, I remember, as I was reading the trilogy, Wrath of Khan takes place over like a few days, certainly within the span of a week. And Peter died like one day before it ended. Okay, so like there's Peter's death, and Khan's death when it ends is literally like the next day. Okay. Search for Spock. Technically, we don't know how long it took them to get from the Genesis planet to Earth, but it's reasonable at most we're talking a few days. Its return to Genesis was... Actually, yeah, that's true. Its return to Genesis was seemingly in hours. It's like less than a day, which means that their travel to Earth should also have been in less than a day, because the ship was not significantly repaired in between. And then, the events on plans for Search for Spock. Yeah, so that is within a week. Search for Spock ends within a week of the ending of Wrath of Khan. So, Peter's death was no more than a week after... Well, the end of Search for Spock was no more than a week after Peter's death. Voyage Home does state that they were exiled on Vulcan for 3 months. So, Voyage Home is 3 months. Technically, it could be longer because there was the court-martial that we don't know how long that lasted. Actually, it may have been said, but it wasn't long, if I remember correctly. What was... Hang on, let me see if I can quickly find this. It might be in my notes. Might not be. At least I know it would be... Nope, I don't see it in my notes. I think I would have recorded it, so maybe it wasn't said. So there is an unknown amount of time then that was spent on the trial, the court-martial. Hang on. Let me just grab the book and check. Okay, so we do have in here. Ah, crap! I lost a spot. Ah, here it is. He had been trying to reach Spock for days. Is McCoy? This is right at the beginning of the epilogue. I knew exactly where to look to find out dates. But for days, and he's not been available because he's been helping Jillian to take care of the whales. So that was days. They pled guilty. Likely then we're at most talking about adding an extra week to the end of Voyage Home. So 3 months plus a week. Wrath of Khan Peter's death was about a week before that. So we're looking at 3.5 weeks there. 3.5 months. 3.5 months there. Could the court-martial have gone longer? Yes, but I don't think appreciably longer. Plus that's also a week of Kirk trying to reach out to Carol and not succeeding, so that also makes some sense. Because you think he'd stop if it were much longer. So that's 3.5 weeks. And then this story, because Voyage Home ends with them going into warp, leaving space dock. This story starts with them saying that shortly after that, the ship failed, was falling apart, was a lemon. And then we have the comment when Kirk beams back, takes the shuttlecraft back up. What's going on, Scotty? You said it would take 2 weeks. I gave you 3. Scotty says, honestly, Captain, I think you gave me too much time. So we're 3 weeks there. So that is now 4 months, 1 week. Let's just say 4.5 months, rounding up. But Scotty's talking about roughly a year ago. We're not even half a year. We're a third of a year from Peter's death. That is not... That's low-hanging fruit. That is... You just read the books. You see that, yeah, it's only been about that long. There would have been people keeping track of that as well. It's because, Harv Bennett is one of the people here. He was a producer and is connected to all of them. And I could believe it. One of his jobs or somebody around him would have been they're keeping track of the timeline. So this, maybe their timeline is wrong then, but it's like there is no way this is roughly a year since Peter's death. Moving on, we have this that I hate this cliche in this context, and there can be some exceptions. I think exceptions for this specific version of the cliche, the exceptions would be incredibly rare to what I believe would be accurate. But there's another way they can be accurate, but then that's a different situation. So, Scotty's secret pain is Peter's death. Scott collapsed to his knees and did not rise this time. In his attempt to teach the boy discipline, he had made the final days of Peter's life miserable, and Peter would never know the depths to which his uncle regretted the fact. I hate this cliche. The idea that having regret over the last event, this is the key thing, the last event you had with them. Because, Peter would have no reason to doubt, from our understanding, would have no reason to doubt Scotty's love for him for the whole rest of his life. Why would you ever think that that they would judge you on that last thing, especially for something like this? Yes, he was being overly strict. He was over-disciplining Peter, but Peter, that's not going to make Peter think that, oh, he hates me. No, it's going to be like, it's Uncle Montgomery being like himself again. That's even what he did think in Wrath of Khan. Granted, Scotty doesn't know his head. Know what goes on in his head. Fair enough. But it still is, why would you think that it's that last thing that you should be judged by? That doesn't make sense, and I hate the cliche. I hate it. Because it is the smallest portion of your time with them. So it should be among the least significant, even if it is the most recent. Maybe that's very cold, maybe that's insensitive, but it still is. There's a truth there. Alright? If it's, hey, they love me, 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 oh, they did something that made me unhappy. Why do you think that all this is forgotten because of this? There might be certain very extreme things that, okay, yeah, now you can question it. But otherwise, and it's like that's a rare exception. The other situation though would be if it's a they love me, they love me, they love me. I don't know if they love me anymore. I don't know if they love me anymore. I don't know if they love me anymore. Well, they did something that made me unhappy. Now it's a, you know what, maybe you should have that regret because of all this where they're not sure. That's a different situation though. And in that case, yeah, the cliche cannot be applied. This, not, no, there's no way. And what's more, there's even this. And it's like, I even wrote in my notes, so part of the reason why I hate this being Scotty's pain. Scotty's secret pain, even. Secret pain. Is because Cybok starts talking to him in his head about this. He understood the reasons behind your actions, Cybok told him. Peter knew you acted out of love. Yes, that's... Scotty shouldn't need somebody to tell him that. Scott dared to allow himself a small ray of hope. Peter understood? Yes, of course he did. He was your nephew. He's known you his entire life. A silent yes. There was no need to tell him. Peter remained at his post, not out of your reaction, not out of fear of your reaction. Sorry, it's again, there's Oscar errors here. But because of his sense of duty. He would have done the same in any case. You in no way contributed to his death, Montgomery. It's like, and that's also, I put it in my notes before I got to this. Where it's like, the way Peter died is something, and I've said it before, is something Scotty should be immensely proud of. Yeah, it still sucks. It absolutely does. But it's still, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. He fulfilled his duty. Regardless of the fact that he may die, he saved the ship. Alright? I mean, he legitimately saved the ship. The only two other people that can say that of the Enterprise for Wrath of Khan are Spock and Kirk. And Spock also died to achieve it, okay? Peter's in amazing company. Alright? Scotty, you should be proud of him. Still sucks he died. Never saying it otherwise. Alright? And it's also, I'm still kind of pissed that Kirk didn't lose his liver, or at least part of it, to Saavik, for it's like, why has he not received a commendation? We never got anything about that. I'm still pissed about that. But there's also an element here that goes even further for why this is, like, Scotty should know all this. Cybok should not be able to tell him a damn thing that he doesn't already know. But there's another thing on top of it that makes me even more pissed about this. That's search for Spock. Because Scotty forgives Grenny. There is no way in hell, none, that Scotty would be capable of doing that as honestly as he did. Or at least as honestly as it was portrayed in that book. Which I'm just going to say is how Scotty actually did it. There's no way he could have forgiven Grenny the way he did if he did not forgive himself. Right? He has already passed all of this. Because that's the only way he could have helped Grenny the way Grenny needed to be helped. And Scotty did help him. Okay, I mean, it pisses me off. Because it's like with the Sulu thing, even with John. Talbot, the funny thing is, Talbot I can actually understand. He actually makes some sense. But the others, it's like, Scotty should have rectified this on his own months ago. Sulu, his parents should have addressed within days of the event for him. John just needed a friend. He doesn't need Cybok. He just needs a friend, and he would have been able to get through it. Yes, it was very recent, and so more time. So it's like, a friend that would have been there for a while, but still doesn't need the share your pain with me. Doesn't need that to get through it. Right? Talbot, at least, it's like, yeah, you actually screwed up. You seriously screwed up, and something you're not going to be able to admit to because it's shameful for you. It's like, okay, there's a secret pain. Granted, there's that. It's still, though, as I pointed out at the time, he should have undergone psychiatric analysis after the events of that, and the Federation should have determined, yeah, we can't keep him as a delegate, as a diplomat. Not until he gets his shit straightened out, because he became self-destructive. And an alcoholic and all that. I mean, it's like, this is not good. So yeah, that Cybok is okay. What Cybok is doing here is not impressive to me, because it is like legitimately You can have another character just talk with these people and work that out. Or they should have already. Also, I will add this. For the whole Scotty's secret pain. Kirk and McCoy were present for Peter's death, and so saw Scotty's reaction. So not that secret. There's also Spock, at least. Well, true, he dies before long, but Saavik was also aware of the circumstances, Scotty's behavior towards him at the time. So, would Saavik have been great at helping Scotty through that? Maybe not, but even though it wasn't written, I think because Scotty knew there was a connection between them, and yeah, just puppy love kind of stuff, a crush, that's fine. But Scotty would have at minimum been aware Saavik and Peter were friends. I strongly doubt he would not have spoken with her, and I don't just mean at the wake. But think about 3 months on Vulcan. Right? Yeah, I think it is very reasonable he would talk to her because it still is somebody to mourn with, regardless. So it's better than cornering her, although she'd probably stop you from cornering her. It's like cornering her would be a lot fairer than cornering Granny. So yeah, it's just I find it very unimpressive. Like, what Sybok is achieving here is either, dude, so many people could just talk with, so many friends could just help these people through these exact same problems. They would just need to potentially know it, but Scotty, I could believe that the Federation would have grief counselors, more or less, every time somebody dies on board a ship. Okay? And it might be completely optional, although I could believe that for cadets, it's not. Just saying, that seems fair to me. Alright? And granted, I enjoy TNG, where they have a ship's counselor there. And I understand people would say that's stupid. You know what? I'm not going to argue with you on that. I'm not. Although I will say, Marina Sirtis did a very good job in that role. I mean, you can say that the concept of the ship's counselor isn't that great, or that she would always be on the bridge. That's fine. You can have that argument if you want. I'm not sure I can argue successfully against that. But if you start saying Marina Sirtis didn't do a good job, I will start arguing with you. I think she did a fantastic job in that role. But it's still, that is a real thing. They would have had people in Starfleet to help the people get through it. And also, I would absolutely believe that if there was ever a cadet death like that, like Peter's, it would be a no. You don't have an option. When you're out of the academy, now you can have an option. You're in the academy. We need to do this because you are young, and this is potentially a time where you may decide, you know what, it's best to leave. It's best to leave the academy. That this is not what you're prepared for. So it's like that should be there. Would Scotty go? He might choose not to, but I could also see Kirk being like, Montgomery, it was your nephew. You need to go talk to somebody, okay? It's like, I'm not allowing you a choice. You need to go do that, because this wasn't just a cadet. This wasn't just somebody under your command. It was your nephew. You need to go. I know that's going beyond what's on the page. I get that. But it still is connected to my argument that Scotty's secret pain here would not be that secret, and he should have addressed it himself. Sybok should have no way to touch him on this. Short of, and this is possible that Sybok is actually digging in there to find whatever it is for somebody, pulling that out, forcing somebody's mind back into that state of pain and uncertainty and fear and doubt and guilt, forcing them back into that, so then he can insert himself to be the one that gets them through it, to form this connection here where now they're loyal to him, while also potentially just using it as a way to get in there and have a hypnotic hook, if you will, on them. That I'd be okay with. But that would also make Sybok another level of villain and evil than what he has been displayed as thus far. Right? It would be truly villainous. It would be truly evil for him to do all that. So, yeah, I'm okay with that being what's up with him, but we've not seen anything to suggest that that's what's going on. So, we do also get this though that I am happy to get. So this is after Scotty comes out of it and is like, "I'll do whatever you want, Cybok." Good. I will give you a formula so that you can make the appropriate adjustments to the shield design. The transporters will have to wait. So Scotty has technically betrayed, well, not really, but betrayed the captain, Spock, and McCoy. As far as like, yeah, I did help him. The details of which are not shared. And it's also like, I mean, it's not that surprising. No one should be surprised by that. So then it's they want me to get the transporters back online because we may need them for where we're going. And Cybok's like, you know what? It's basically, that's true. That's true. But the shields are more important. I need you to do those first. Then you can work on the transport. It's very simple. It is one of those things that I will grant I do like about the bad guys. Is when it is then he's not competing with Kirk really here. He's not telling Scotty to do something that Scotty shouldn't do. It's like even if he didn't get into Scotty's head, even if he didn't do that, he could still be saying, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about you helping Kirk and all that. I understand. And I understand you want to fix the transporters because they told you. Nothing wrong with that. Here's the thing, though. What we're doing, I need these adjustments to the shields or everyone's going to die. So here they are. Go do that. Scotty would probably be like, I have to fix the shields first because transporters don't mean anything if, everybody dies. Okay, so, but yeah, that middle section, I got so many issues with. That is not Scotty's secret pain. All right, so the final bit that I am okay with and has potential. I'm not sure I should trust the potential to be fulfilled, but it has potential. We're back on the Bird of Prey. Vixus is walking to her quarters, and she is thinking about how... and by the way, there's also one thing about it that is stupid, but she's thinking about how can I handle Claw? Because it's like how does it put it? Hang on. Oops. What indicated that the captain's arrogance had become megalomania. So she is legitimately concerned that it's like, he may kill us all. And that's a major problem, and I'm the first officer. I have to do something about this. But it's like, she doesn't want to be disloyal to him. She doesn't want to kill him. She wants to try to find another way of managing him. But it's also, even though she's first officer, and technically, yeah, she can just kill him, take command of the ship. Kind of what happens in the Klingon Empire. But she also knows that he does have certain supporters in Klingon High Command who would not be happy if she did this. I kind of doubt that's actually true, but regardless, he was pushed up to being captain for political purposes, in my opinion. It's basically what's been stated already. So it's like, I don't think he's got real friends that it's like, well, apparently he was incompetent and she felt necessary to kill him. That is the Klingon way. Moving on. But she is legitimately trying to figure out how to do this. So she gets to her quarters, and apparently you need to give a voice command to unlock your doors. That seems extreme. I can understand, like on a Federation ship, it is, you hit the thing and it knows who you are, and do you have ready access, do you not? I get that, but to give like a password to enter seems a bit much. But there's also, oh crap, my brain is turning off a little bit on this. There's also I could believe that on a Klingon ship, it would be, no, you don't get to lock the captain out of your quarters. Just, that's not a thing. I just could very much see that as the captain is able to go anywhere and do anything. Maybe not certain. Maybe there's not certain things he can do. I mean, we don't need to go in that direction. But I just mean, this should. I just imagine this being, all the quarters are very Spartan, very utilitarian, especially on a bird of prey. And yeah, there is no privacy here. Why would you expect there to be privacy? But it does also mention that there are likely monitoring systems for the corridors, but in her room she has things that jam that. Not really great, but okay. Excuse me. But when she gets there, she finds Morak, who, I think he's the gunner, who, because Claw is just, he's got his thing so he can do the gunning himself, be the gunnery officer himself. Morak doesn't really have anything to do, so he doesn't like Claw. And he is basically saying that we gotta do something. And Vixis knows not to trust him, right? And also he kind of got a bit too close to her, and did one of those to her. And hang on, let me see if I can find the response. I am first officer. Yes, I am first officer, Morak. The captain heeds my advice. I hold your rank and your life, if I so choose, in my hands. Remember that before you dare touch me again. To a certain degree, I could even see, aside from the fact that they are technically plotting mutiny, I could see her response actually being, cutting his arm off, his arm off, just. Because, in theory, they all have knives on them, and just pull that. It's like, no, that's. The idea that he would do that is like, dude, you deserve that. It's like, with a Klingon, you deserve that. But he basically tells her, go to him. I've seen the way he looks at you, Vixis. Go to him, distract him, and I will see to the rest. And she does also recognize. So, he's third in command. Which means then that if he gets rid of both of them, he's in command. Yeah, she's not that dumb. She is concerned with Claw, but she's suspicious of him, of Morak. So, I'm kind of hoping that he ends up being killed somehow, because this is not a good dude. And it's a Klingon ship, so yeah, I could see they'll figure out how to kill him. But I am still curious, because, okay, Sky's going to modify the shields of the Enterprise to make it through the barrier. How the hell is the Bird of Prey going to achieve the same thing? Don't know, need to find out. And what does Vixis do with Claw? I don't know. It will, it actually hit me quickly. Okay. McCoy's something, so we're back to the Enterprise for the start of the next chapter. So, yeah, I am curious as to what is going to be next with that, because there was potential. There's good potential here of Vixis being a 1.5 agent. Because I think she's going to do something about Claw, because she knows she needs to protect the ship. But I do think she's going to betray Morak. There's no way Morak is getting through whatever he's going to do. There's no way he's going to survive this. It's like something bad's going to happen to him, and he deserves it. So, I do think that will end up proving the case. So yes, there's potential here. Hopefully it gets paid off. I don't know if I can trust it to be. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay. See you next time.